The large observation window gave Joseph Bennett a perfect view of the massive space station. It looked like a metal flower with 12 giant petals spreading outward. Each petal represented one of the elder species that made up the Galactic Council. Joseph adjusted his formal diplomatic uniform and took a deep breath. As Earth's ambassador, the weight of humanity's future rested on his shoulders. Approaching Docking Bay 7, announced the pilot of the small Earth vessel. "Ambassador, we'll be boarding the station in 5 minutes." Joseph nodded. The year was 2157, and humanity had only recently developed faster-than-light travel. Earth now had 3 small colonies on nearby star systems. This meeting with the Council would be the first official diplomatic contact between humans and the galactic community. "Remember the briefing," said Lisa Reeves, his chief advisor. "Show respect, but not weakness. We're newcomers, but we deserve a fair place at the table." The ship docked with a gentle bump. Joseph led his small team through the airlock and into the station. A group of 4 aliens waited for them. 2 tall blue-skinned beings with 4 arms, a small floating creature that glowed slightly, and a reptilian humanoid with scales that changed colors as it moved. "Welcome to Harmony Point," said the reptilian being in perfect English. "I am Kelvar, assistant to the Council Speaker. Please follow me to the meeting chamber." Joseph and his team walked through wide hallways filled with beings from dozens of species. Some looked almost human, while others defied description. Many stopped to stare at the humans. "They're looking at us like we're animals in a zoo," whispered Mike Peterson, the security officer. "Stay focused," Joseph replied quietly. The meeting chamber was enormous, with 12 raised platforms arranged in a circle. On each platform sat representatives of the elder species. At the center was a single floating chair, currently empty. Kelvar guided the humans to a small standing area in the center of the room. "The Council will see you now," he said before retreating. A tall, thin alien with pale skin and 6 eyes entered the chamber and took the floating seat. The room fell silent. "I am High Lord Zax Voren of the Arcturus Dominion, Speaker for the Galactic Council," the being said. Its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "We welcome Earth's representatives." Joseph stepped forward. "Thank you, High Lord. I am Ambassador Joseph Bennett of Earth. We are honored to join the galactic community and look forward to peaceful cooperation." Zax Voren made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Yes, your species is quite young. We have been observing Earth for decades. Your development has been interesting." Joseph maintained a diplomatic smile. "We have much to learn, but also much to offer." "Indeed," said Zax Voren. "All new species must contribute to the greater galactic society. The Council has determined that Earth must pay an integration tribute to join our ranks." Joseph kept his expression neutral despite his surprise. "Tribute, High Lord." "A standard practice," said a large insectoid being from one of the platforms. "All newcomers provide resources to support Council operations. What kind of tribute does the Council expect?" Joseph asked carefully. Zax Voren waved one of his 4 hands. "Details will be provided. You will return to Earth, consult with your leaders, and prepare your tribute offer. We will expect your return in 6 months." Joseph wanted to ask more questions, but the tone of dismissal was clear. "We will discuss this with Earth's leadership," he said with a slight bow. As the humans were escorted out, Joseph noticed the representatives whispering among themselves. The translator in his ear caught fragments. "Primitive technology, resource-rich planet, easily managed species." Back on their ship, Lisa looked worried. "What do you think they want?" Joseph stared out at the flower-shaped station as they departed. "I don't know, but I don't like it. Did you notice how they already seem to know everything about us? And that word, tribute, sounds more like a demand than an invitation." Mike frowned. The way they looked at us, it wasn't as equals. Joseph nodded slowly. "Send a priority message to President Martinez. Tell her we need to prepare. I think Earth's welcome to the galaxy comes with strings attached, and those strings might be chains. As their ship entered hyperspace, Joseph couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's first step into the galactic community was about to become a dangerous test of survival. 6 months passed quickly. In the large meeting room of the United Earth Government building in Geneva, President Olivia Martinez looked at the tired faces around the table. For half a year, Earth's best minds had debated the Council's demand for tribute. Ambassador Bennett, what's your assessment of our situation? President Martinez asked. Joseph Bennett had aged visibly since his return from space. Not good, Madam President. Our delay has made the Council impatient. Their messages have become increasingly direct. The large screen on the wall lit up with a signal alert. Speaking of which, said Communications Director Eric Fuller, we're receiving a transmission from a Council ship that just entered Earth orbit. The screen showed High Lord Zaxvorin, his 6 eyes blinking in what humans had learned was a sign of annoyance. President Martinez, your species has had adequate time to prepare your tribute offer. The Council grows weary of waiting. High Lord, Martins replied carefully, we appreciate the Council's patience. We're still considering the implications of. The time for consideration has ended, Zaxvorin interrupted. I have dispatched envoys to your location with our formal requirements. They will land within the hour. The Council expects your full cooperation. The screen went dark before Martinez could respond. Admiral Frank Howard, head of Earth's Space Forces, slammed his hand on the table. They didn't even ask permission to enter our atmosphere. This is a violation of our sovereignty. We don't have much choice, Joseph said grimly. Their ships outclass ours in every way, or so they believe. An hour later, 3 tall beings entered the meeting room, escorted by security. They were Arcturians like Zaxvorin, but of lower rank based on their simpler clothing. The lead envoy placed a small device on the table that projected a holographic document. The Council's formal ultimatum, the alien stated flatly. Your tribute requirements are as follows. 30% of Earth's rare minerals, 15% of your biological specimens for our archives, and 5% of your human population as service beings. A shocked silence filled the room. Service beings? Martins asked, her voice tight. Your people would serve Council species in various capacities, the envoy explained as if discussing the weather. It is a great honor. Many species wait generations for such an opportunity. Dr. Samantha Wells, the government's chief scientific advisor, spoke up. That's slavery. The envoy's expression didn't change. That is your primitive interpretation. The Council has managed galactic harmony for 50,000 years through this system. Your compliance is not optional. Admiral Howard's face had turned deep red. And if we refuse, then regulatory action will be taken. The envoy's voice became colder. Your colonies would be first, of course. Then your orbital installations. The Council prefers compliance without enforcement, but we are prepared for either approach. President Martinez maintained her composure with visible effort. How long do we have to respond? 30 Earth days, the envoy replied. The terms are non-negotiable. After the aliens departed, the room erupted in angry voices. 5% of our population. That's over 400 million people, Howard shouted. Martinez raised her hand for silence. Dr. Wells, you've been studying Council records since first contact. What do you know about this tribute system? Dr. Wells looked troubled. From what I can piece together, every new species is subjected to this. The resources are understandable, but the service beings concern me. I found references to several species that were nearly wiped out after failing to provide adequate tribute. Then we have no choice but to comply, suggested Secretary of State Kevin Jones. Admiral Howard stood up. Madam President, I recommend you visit the Mars facility. There's something you need to see before we make any decisions. Martinez looked at him with sudden interest. The prototype. Howard nodded. It's ready. And there's more. Dr. Wells and Chief Engineer Blackwell have made discoveries the Council doesn't know about. For the first time in months, a small smile appeared on President Martinez's face. Then perhaps we should prepare our response, just not the one the Council is expecting. As the meeting adjourned, Joseph Bennett looked out the window at the clear blue sky, knowing that somewhere up there, Council ships waited for humanity's surrender. They would be waiting a long time. The underground facility on Mars was massive. President Martinez followed Admiral Howard through security doors that required multiple scans. They entered a large chamber where dozens of scientists and engineers worked at different stations. "Welcome to Project Dawn, Madam President," said Chief Engineer Alan Blackwell as he greeted them. He was a tall man with gray hair and hands rough from years of practical work. "We've been busy since first contact." "Show her everything," Admiral Howard ordered. Blackwell nodded and led them to the first section. When Council ships visited Earth, they leaked data. Not because of poor security, but because they didn't think we were smart enough to access it. He pointed to screens showing alien ship designs. Their technology is advanced, but not as perfect as they claim. Their ships have weaknesses, serious ones. Martinez looked surprised. What kind of weaknesses? Their main weapon systems draw power directly from their engines, Blackwell explained. A specific frequency can disrupt this connection. We've already built devices that can disable Council weapons without firing a shot. In the next area, a small woman with intense eyes waited for them. "President Martinez, I'm Dr. Linda Patel," she said. "My team works on quantum physics." She showed them a small device on a table. "The Council believes certain technologies are impossible. This is one of them." "What does it do?" Martinez asked. "It creates a quantum field that makes our ships invisible to Council sensors," Dr. Patel said proudly. "We've tested it on the Jupiter outpost. Their patrol ships passed right by without detecting it." Admiral Howard smiled. And that's not all. They continued the tour, seeing advanced defense systems, new weapons platforms, and communication devices unlike anything on Earth. In one massive hangar, 5 sleek ships were being prepared. "Colony ships," Blackwell explained, "but not like any we've built before. They carry everything needed to establish self-sustaining settlements, including defensive capabilities. We've sent them beyond Council scanning range. If something happens to Earth, humanity will survive." In the final room, they met Dr. Samantha Wells studying alien text on multiple screens. "Dr. Wells has made the most important discovery," Admiral Howard said. Wells turned to them. "I've been studying records from other species. The Council has been doing this for thousands of years. They demand tribute, then use those resources to keep other species weak while making themselves stronger." She showed them a star map. "These red dots are species that refuse tribute. Most were attacked and forced to comply. These blue dots are species that paid tribute for centuries. They're now practically servants, with no real independence." "And these green dots?" Martinez asked, pointing to a smaller group. "Species that appeared to comply but secretly prepared, then broke away from Council control," Wells explained. "It doesn't happen often, but it has happened." President Martinez was quiet for a moment. "So we have options." "Yes," Howard confirmed. "We can submit and slowly lose everything that makes us human. We can fight now and probably lose. Or we can appear to negotiate while preparing our real response." Martinez finished for him. Blackwell nodded. "We need just a little more time. 2 weeks, maybe 3. We have 30 days before their deadline," Martinez said. "Can we be ready?" The room fell silent as everyone looked at each other. "We can," Dr. Patel said firmly. "But we'll need every available scientist and engineer working around the clock." Martinez straightened her shoulders. "Then that's what we'll do. Admiral Howard, implement Operation Shadow Shield. All military assets on high alert, but nothing visible to their sensors. Dr. Wells, I want everything you can find about Council protocols and weaknesses. Blackwell, Patul, whatever you need, you'll get." As they prepared to leave, Martinez looked at the star map again. "The Council expects us to either submit or make a futile stand. They've seen it all before." She smiled slightly. "But they've never met humans before." Admiral Howard nodded. "No, they haven't. And they're about to learn that demanding tribute from humanity was the biggest mistake they've ever made." On the 29th day after the Council's ultimatum, Ambassador Joseph Bennett returned to Harmony Point Space Station. This time, his small ship carried additional passengers: Major Nicol Rodriguez, Earth's top military strategist, and Paul Johnson, a brilliant economist. Both had been briefed extensively on the plan. "Remember," Joseph told them as they approached the docking bay, "look nervous but not afraid. The Council expects us to be intimidated." Major Rodriguez adjusted her uniform. "Don't worry. I can play the scared soldier if needed." The Council chamber was more crowded than before. Representatives from all major species had gathered to witness Earth's submission. Joseph noticed many new faces, species that weren't part of the Council, but obviously held some status in galactic society. Perfect. High Lord Zaxvorin sat in his floating chair at the center, looking down at the human delegation with his 6 eyes. "Ambassador Bennett, you have returned with Earth's response to our generous offer of integration." Joseph stepped forward, his posture straight and dignified. "Yes, High Lord, I bring Earth's official response." A murmur of anticipation went through the crowd. From the raised platforms, Council elders leaned forward slightly. "Earth has carefully considered the Council's requirements," Joseph began. "We understand the importance of contribution to galactic society." Zaxvorin nodded slightly, satisfaction evident in his posture. "Therefore," Joseph continued, "Earth formally declines to provide the requested tribute." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. Zaxvorin's pale skin flushed a deep blue color. "Silence," he commanded, and the room quieted immediately. He fixed all 6 eyes on Joseph. "Perhaps you misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. The tribute will be provided, or consequences will follow." Joseph smiled calmly. "There is no misunderstanding. Earth will not provide slave labor disguised as service beings. We will not surrender our resources to enrich the Council while impoverishing ourselves." A large insectoid being rose from one of the platforms. "This is outrageous. Humans lack the perspective to understand galactic economics. Your species is barely space-capable." Paul Johnson stepped forward. "Actually, we understand perfectly. We've analyzed the Council's tribute system extensively." He activated a small device that projected economic data into the air. "This system doesn't benefit galactic society. It benefits the 12 elder species while systematically exploiting newer members." More angry shouts filled the chamber. Joseph noticed some of the non-Council species exchanging glances. "This discussion is over," Zaxvorin declared. "Earth will face regulatory action immediately. Your colonies will be the first to learn the cost of defiance." "Before you make that decision," Joseph said, raising his voice to be heard, "there's something all species present should know." He nodded to Major Rodriguez, who activated another device. Suddenly, screens around the chamber lit up with images. Historical records showing Council ships attacking peaceful worlds, records of species reduced to poverty after centuries of tribute, and testimony from representatives of exploited planets. "This evidence has been transmitted to every known species in Council space," Joseph announced. "Not through Council channels, which you control, but through a direct quantum communication network we've established." Zaxvorin stood, his entire body shaking with rage. "This is forbidden technology. How dare you bypass Council communications?" A smaller reptilian being from one of the lower platforms spoke up. "Is this true? Has the tribute system been used this way?" "Do not question Council policy, Viridian," snapped one of the elders. Joseph watched as doubt spread through the chamber. This was exactly what Earth had hoped for. "Earth offers an alternative," he said clearly. Not tribute, but fair trade. Not servitude, but partnership. We have drafted agreements that benefit all species, not just a select few. Enough, Zaxvorin shouted. The Council does not negotiate with primitive species. Grand Admiral Dex Horit, initiate containment protocol against Earth immediately. From one of the raised platforms, a heavily armored being stood and touched a communication device. Battle cruisers moving into position around Earth now, High Lord. Joseph exchanged a quick glance with his team. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. I think, Joseph said calmly, you'll find that more difficult than you expect. Chaos erupted in the council chamber as news arrived from the battle cruisers. Grand Admiral Dex Horit, a massive being covered in metallic scales, stared at his communication device in disbelief. High Lord, he said, his voice unusually quiet. Our ships report all weapons systems have failed. Zaxvorin's 6 eyes blinked rapidly. Impossible. Explain. They entered Earth orbit and prepared to power weapons, Dex Horit continued. Then all systems shut down simultaneously. They have life support and basic propulsion only. Joseph Bennett allowed himself a small smile. Dr. Patel's quantum disruptor was working perfectly. What have you done? Zaxvorin demanded, turning to the human delegation. Protected ourselves, Major Rodriguez answered simply. Your ships are unarmed. Their crews are safe, but they will not threaten Earth or our colonies. A low murmur spread through the chamber. Many species were now looking at the humans with new interest, and at the council with growing suspicion. The reptilian being who had spoken earlier slithered down from their platform. I am Sub-Commander Trell of the Viridian Union, they said, approaching Joseph. How did your species disable council battle cruisers without firing a shot? Before Joseph could answer, the chamber doors burst open. A group of representatives from younger council species entered, led by a tall, blue-skinned being. The Protean Confederation demands an emergency session, announced their leader. Evidence provided by Earth has raised serious concerns about council practices. As does the Centauri Alliance, added another representative. Zaxvorin slammed his hand on the arm of his chair. This is unprecedented. The Council does not recognize these irregular demands. But more species were speaking up now. The carefully maintained order of the Council was breaking down as questions and accusations filled the chamber. Sub-Commander Trell moved closer to Joseph and spoke quietly. Ambassador, the Viridian Union would like to discuss possible alliance with Earth. In private. Joseph nodded slightly. We would welcome such discussions. On a large screen at the front of the chamber, a new message appeared. A live feed from Earth. President Martinez stood in the command center, looking calm and determined. Attention, Council representatives, and all galactic species, she said. Earth has activated its planetary defense grid. This is not an act of aggression, but of protection. We will defend ourselves if attacked. The screen split to show images of Earth surrounded by a faint, shimmering field, a technology the Council had thought impossible. Grand Admiral Dex Horit turned to an aide. Order the Dominion fleet to converge on the Earth system. Already done. Admiral, the aide replied nervously. But we've lost contact with 3 of our outposts near human space, and reports are coming in that the Proxima system has deployed similar defensive technology. For the first time, uncertainty showed in the Grand Admiral's expression. How can this be? Humans are newcomers to space. From the highest platform, a crystalline being spoke, its voice resonating oddly. The Zoltan Collective demands immediate action against Earth. If humans can share this technology with other species, our dominance could be threatened. Perhaps that is precisely what needs to happen, said the representative from Procyon. The Council has grown too comfortable in its power. Joseph watched as the Council began to fracture before his eyes. Some species called for immediate war against Earth, while others demanded reform of the tribute system. A few were already approaching the human delegation with offers of separate agreements. In the confusion, Joseph received a secure communication from Earth. Dr. Wells appeared on his small screen. Ambassador, our intelligence network reports 5 systems have declared independence from Council rule in the past hour, she said excitedly. Your broadcast worked better than we hoped. The Arcturus Dominion is dispatching ships to force them back in line. Joseph nodded. And our defensive technology. Being deployed to protect the rebel worlds as we speak, she confirmed. Commander Powell is leading the First Fleet. As argument raged around him, Joseph exchanged a look with his team. Phase 1 had succeeded beyond their expectations. Now came the difficult part, helping to shape what would replace the old order. Commander Diane Powell stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Guardian, watching her display as 5 ships formed up around her. They were small compared to Council battlecruisers, but size wasn't everything. All ships report ready, Commander, said her first officer, Lieutenant Jason Miller. Good, Powell replied. Set course for the Lyra system. The Lyrans declared independence 3 hours ago. Council forces will arrive there soon. The small fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, using the new drive system developed by Alan Blackwell. Unlike Council ships that left a clear energy trail, Earth vessels moved through space without a trace. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Earth's broadcast continued to spread. Planet after planet received the message and the evidence of Council exploitation. The carefully controlled narrative that had kept the Council in power for thousands of years was crumbling. On the planet Lyra, the local government had just removed Council officials from power when alarms sounded. 3 Council warships approaching, announced a Lyran defense officer. Governor Kelnar of Lyra looked grim. His people had suffered under Council tribute demands for generations. We have no defense against Council weapons. His aide rushed in. Governor, unknown ships have appeared in orbit. They're hailing us. On the communication screen, Commander Powell appeared. This is Commander Diane Powell of Earth. We've come to help. Relief washed over the governor's face. The humans, you received our distress call. We did, Powell confirmed. Council ships will be here soon. We need to prepare. Above the planet, the Guardian and its sister ships took defensive positions. Lieutenant Miller monitored the sensors. Council ships dropping out of FTL in 3, 2, 1. 3 massive Council warships appeared, their weapon ports already open. This is Captain Vorklax of the Council force, came the transmission. Lyra is in violation of Council law. Surrender immediately or face orbital bombardment. Powell smiled slightly. This is Commander Powell of Earth. The Lyran people are under our protection. Stand down your ships. The Council captain laughed. Earth, your primitive vessels are no match for Council warships. You have 10 seconds to retreat. We won't be doing that, Powell replied calmly. Lieutenant Miller, activate the disruptors. Miller pressed a sequence on his console. Invisible quantum fields reached out to the Council ships, targeting the specific frequencies that Dr. Patel had identified. On the Council vessels, confusion erupted as weapon systems failed and shields flickered out. What's happening? Demanded Captain Vorklax. Engineering, report. His chief engineer's voice was panicked. Sir, weapons are offline. Shields non-functional. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Powell opened the channel again. Captain Vorklax, your ships are disabled. You can retreat under minimal power, or we can bring you aboard our vessels. The choice is yours. For several long moments, silence filled the communication channel. Then, with obvious rage, the Council captain responded, We will withdraw. But this act of war will not go unanswered. As the Council ships limped away, cheers erupted across the Lyran planet. For the first time in 500 years, they were truly free. News of the battle spread quickly. Earth had confronted Council warships directly and won without firing a shot. More systems began to question Council rule. Back on Earth, President Martinez received reports from across the galaxy. 5 more systems have declared independence, said Dr. Wells, and 17 others have requested defensive technology or alliance talks. Admiral Howard nodded with satisfaction. The Council is losing control faster than we anticipated. Their military is spread too thin trying to maintain order. And our colonies? Martins asked. Secure, the Admiral confirmed. Our ships and defense systems are performing perfectly. Martinez studied the galactic map, where more and more systems were changing from Council blue to independent green. For thousands of years, they demanded tribute and maintained control through fear, she said quietly. Now that fear is gone. On the Harmony Point station, chaos continued as more Council members broke ranks. High Lord Zaxvorin and the elder species tried desperately to regain control, but their authority was slipping away. The carefully constructed power structure that had defined galactic politics for millennia was collapsing in a matter of days. And it had all started with a simple human response. 1 month after Earth's refusal to pay tribute, Ambassador Joseph Bennett stood in a new chamber. Unlike the cold grandeur of the Council Hall, this room was simple and practical. Representatives from 14 different species sat in a circle, with no raised platforms or special seats. I call this first meeting of the Galactic Cooperative to order, Joseph said. Thank you all for your courage in joining this alliance. Sub-Commander Trell of the Viridians nodded respectfully. The courage was Earth's. You stood up to the Council when no one else dared. And now we must build something better, Joseph continued. Not based on tribute and fear, but on mutual respect and fair exchange. The meeting continued for hours as the newly formed cooperative established its founding principles. No mandatory tribute, free exchange of basic technologies, mutual defense, respect for sovereignty. Each member would have an equal voice regardless of how long they had been spacefaring. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. William Carter worked with his team in a research facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. Screens displayed data streams as scientists from 3 different species collaborated on a revolutionary project. Adjust the quantum alignment by 0.03, Dr. Carter instructed. We're almost there. A young engineer made the adjustment. Suddenly, all the displays stabilized. We've done it, Dr. Carter exclaimed. The FTL communication network is stable across all test points. This breakthrough would allow instant communication across the galaxy without relying on the Council's controlled network. For the first time, species could communicate freely without Council monitoring or approval. But not everyone was pleased with these developments. On a secret Council base, High Lord Zaxvorin met with representatives from the elder species. The situation is intolerable, said the Zoltan representative, its crystalline body glowing with anger. Already 27 systems have joined this human cooperative. Our authority diminishes daily. And their technology, hissed another elder. How did primitives develop quantum disruption? Our scientists claimed it was impossible. Zaxvorin's 6 eyes narrowed. We have agents on Earth. They report the humans are building a large facility in orbit. A weapon? Asked one of the others. Unknown, Zaxvorin replied. But we cannot allow it to be completed. We must strike now, before more systems defect. Back on Earth, Security Chief Gregory Martinez walked through the orbital shipyard, checking security systems. Something felt wrong. Years of experience had taught him to trust his instincts. He noticed a maintenance worker behaving oddly near a critical junction box. The worker's hands moved too quickly, the movements too precise for human muscles. Martinez touched his communication device. Security alert, Section 14. Possible infiltrator. The worker heard this and turned. Its face briefly flickered, revealing non-human features beneath a holographic disguise. Intruder, Martin shouted, drawing his weapon. Freeze. The disguised alien moved with incredible speed, throwing a small device toward the station's power core. Martinez fired, hitting the device midair. It exploded harmlessly away from critical systems. More security officers arrived, surrounding the infiltrator. When they removed its holographic projector, they discovered a member of the Arcturus Dominion, Zaxvorin species. The Council sent you, Martin stated. It wasn't a question. The alien said nothing, But the truth was obvious. The Council wasn't ready to accept defeat. President Martinez called an emergency meeting when she received the report. "They tried to sabotage our orbital guard," she told her advisors, "and our intelligence suggests similar attempts at other cooperative worlds." Admiral Howard looked grim. "The Council is desperate. That makes them dangerous. Then we need to move forward with the final phase," the President decided. "Contact Ambassador Bennett. Tell him to convene the full Cooperative Assembly. It's time to bring this to an end." Across the galaxy, Council authority continued to crumble. The Zoltan Collective, one of the founding Council species, announced it would withdraw and seek membership in the Cooperative instead. This stunning defection sent shockwaves through the remaining Council worlds. The balance of power had shifted decisively, and humanity, the species that had been expected to pay tribute, was now leading a galactic revolution. 1 year after the Council had demanded tribute from Earth, the Grand Chamber of Harmony Point Station looked very different. The raised platforms were gone. All seats were arranged in a single large circle. Representatives from 43 species filled the room, including all 12 former Council elders. Joseph Bennett, now Secretary General of the Galactic Cooperative, stood at the center. Beside him was High Lord Zaxvorin, looking much less imposing than before. "This historic meeting will now begin," Joseph announced. "Today we formalize the new galactic charter that will replace the Council system." The past year had seen dramatic changes. As more species joined the Cooperative, the Council's power had shrunk to just their home systems. Their attempts to maintain control through military force had failed when their ships encountered Earth's defensive technology. With their dominance broken, the elder species had finally agreed to negotiate. "The first article of our charter," Joseph continued, "formally abolishes the tribute system. No species will be required to provide resources or people to another. All exchanges will be through fair trade agreements." Murmurs of approval filled the room. Many representatives had lived their entire lives under the burden of tribute. Zaxvorin stepped forward. His once proud posture was now stiff with reluctance. "The former Council species accept these terms. We acknowledge that the old system," he paused, the words clearly difficult, "was unjust." From her seat among the Earth delegation, Dr. Samantha Wells watched with satisfaction. Her research had helped expose centuries of Council exploitation. Now she was witnessing the birth of something better. Next to speak was Sub-Commander Trell, now Supreme Leader of the Viridian Union. "For 500 years, my people paid tribute. We gave our rarest minerals and sent our children to serve on Council worlds. Today, we are free, thanks to Earth's courage." One by one, representatives from formerly subjugated worlds shared similar stories. Some had nearly been destroyed by Council demands. Others had lost cultural treasures or seen their environments damaged by resource extraction. Grand Admiral Dex Horit, now representing only his home system rather than Council forces, watched with barely concealed anger. Like many military leaders, he had lost power and prestige in the new order. Joseph noticed this and made a mental note to watch the former admiral carefully. Not everyone would accept change willingly. Some would plot to restore the old ways. "The final article," Joseph said, "establishes the Mutual Defense Protocol. An attack on any cooperative member will be considered an attack on all. Our combined technologies will protect every world, regardless of their development level." The vote that followed was nearly unanimous. Only 2 species abstained, former Council elders who were still adjusting to their new status. As the historic meeting concluded, Joseph found President Martinez on the secure communication channel. "It's done," he told her. "The charter is ratified. The tribute system is officially over." Martinez smiled. Humanity's place in the galaxy has certainly changed in 1 year. From newcomers expected to pay tribute to architects of a new order. "Not everyone is happy about it," Joseph cautioned. "I've heard rumors of secret meetings among some former Council military leaders. They're not ready to give up their privileged position." "We expected that," Martinez replied. "That's why we're not slowing down our technological development. In a research center on Mars, Chief Engineer Alan Blackwell and Dr. Linda Patel stood before a group of scientists from 20 different species. On the screen behind them was the design for a new type of ship, one that could traverse the galaxy in days rather than weeks. "This is just the beginning," Blackwell told the gathered scientists. "By sharing knowledge rather than hoarding it, we'll achieve more in a decade than the Council did in 1,000 years." As the meeting on Harmony Point ended, Joseph looked out at the stars. For millennia, those stars had witnessed a galaxy ruled by fear and exploitation. Now they would see something new, species working together as equals. The Council had demanded tribute. Humanity had offered partnership instead. And that simple difference had changed everything.